The sun rose slowly over the dusty streets of Moro village, casting long shadows on the small clay houses and narrow alleys. Children were already running barefoot to the small market to help their families, while a few older kids carried water from the village well. In the middle of the village, a modest school building stood freshly painted, with a bright red roof. A small wooden sign hung above the door. Hope Academy. Inside, a man in his late 40s moved quietly between classrooms, checking on the students. His name was To the children, it was simply Teacher Ibrahim. But the story of how he arrived here was extraordinary. Ibrahim had not always been a teacher. 20 years earlier, he had been a thief, a skilled one. He had grown up in a neighborhood where survival often meant bending the rules, taking what you needed, and trusting few. He had learned early how to pick locks, slip past guards, and disappear into shadows. At first, it was petty food, small items, anything to survive. But as time passed, Ibrahim became part of a local gang. They robbed houses, small shops, and even travelers on the dusty roads. Money came quickly, and so did danger. One night, everything changed. Ibrahim and his gang attempted to rob a wealthy merchant's home on the outskirts of the city. It was supposed to be easy. They had scoped the house for days, but something went wrong. The merchant, an old man, caught Ibrahim. The gang had escaped, but Ibrahim was trapped. He expected punishment, shouting, maybe a beating, but the old man did something different. Instead, he looked at Ibrahim and asked quietly, "Why do you steal when you could build?" Ibrahim laughed bitterly. "Build what? I'm nothing. I have nothing. I've never had a chance to be anything." The merchant shook his head. "You always have a choice. Stealing takes from the world. Building gives to it. And integrity. Integrity is the only treasure no one can take from you." Something inside Ibrahim stirred. He left that night, but the old man's words echoed in his mind for weeks, months, years. A few years later, after several arrests and close calls, Ibrahim realized the life he had chosen would destroy him. He walked away from the gang, cut all ties, and started working honest jobs, construction, delivery, anything that would keep him alive and out of trouble. But his past haunted him. He had seen children growing up in the same neighborhoods he had. They were hungry, idle, and vulnerable to the same paths he once walked. One evening, as he watched a group of boys trying to steal fruit from a market stall, Ibrahim made a decision. He would dedicate his life to teaching children integrity, not from books, but from experience. He wanted them to understand the value of honesty, hard work, and trust. Years of savings, small donations, and relentless effort went into building Hope Academy, a school that welcomed any child who wanted to learn, rich or poor, orphaned or struggling. The curriculum was unusual. In addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic, Ibrahim taught lessons in honesty, the importance of telling the truth, even when it's hard, responsibility, how every action has consequences, kindness, that helping others strengthens the community, perseverance, that mistakes do not define you, but choices do. Ibrahim shared his own story, carefully omitting the parts that might glorify theft. Instead, he highlighted the lessons he learned and the consequences he faced. The children listened intently, fascinated that a man could rise from such a life and dedicate himself entirely to others. At first, the village was skeptical. Some parents whispered, "He was a thief. Can he teach our children?" Ibrahim welcomed them to visit the school, observe classes, and see the transformation for themselves. Slowly, trust grew. Children who once wandered the streets began attending classes diligently. They were not only learning math and science, they were learning character, ethics, and respect. One day, a young girl named Fatima approached Ibrahim after school. "Teacher," she asked, "how do I know I will never make the wrong choice like you did?" Ibrahim looked into her eyes, filled with determination and curiosity. "Fatima," he said, "everyone makes mistakes, but you can always choose to correct them. Integrity is not about never falling. It's about getting up, making it right, and helping others along the way." The story of Ibrahim and Hope Academy began to spread beyond Moro village. Volunteers arrived to help, donations increased, and the school grew. But Ibrahim never lost focus. Each child, each lesson, each act of integrity mattered more than recognition or fame. Years later, Hope Academy produced students who went on to become doctors, teachers, engineers, and community leaders. Many returned to the village to give back, inspired by the man who had once walked a dark path but chose to illuminate the way for others. One afternoon, as Ibrahim watched children playing on the school's courtyard, a journalist asked him, "How does it feel to see all this, knowing where you came from?" Ibrahim smiled, leaning on his cane. "I've learned that our past doesn't define our future. It's our choices that matter. I chose to build, not steal. And every child here is proof that integrity is stronger than any mistake we've ever made." The sun set behind the red-roofed building, casting long shadows on the courtyard. Children laughed, played, and learned. Ibrahim's story, once one of theft and regret, had transformed into a living lesson of hope, redemption, and the power of choosing the right path. Because sometimes, the most remarkable teachers are not the ones who have studied the longest day, are the ones who have lived, failed, learned, and chosen to rebuild a better world for the next generation. And in Moro village, the former thief who built a school was not just a teacher, he was a guardian of integrity, shaping lives one child at a time.